Hey everybody, have you ever had a client approve everything in your presentation only to have it start unraveling about 2 days later? Yeah, the sofa suddenly feels too large, the light fixture might be too modern, and the rug now feels like it might be just a bit too much. And before you know it, the entire room is back on the table. Selections you carefully curated are being swapped out one by one. Your timeline's getting pushed out, which drives me nuts, and the project becomes far more complicated than you ever intended it to be or the client ever intended it to be. Well, if this has happened to you, you know how frustrating it can be. Any of us designers who've been around for a minute know, but today I want to talk and walk you through something really important. Because when clients are changing their mind, it usually is not about them being indecisive. It's about how your process has been structured. Because when the process is clear, decisions become easier. Once again, not just for you, but for the client. And when the process is unclear, those revisions are going to multiply over and over again. Today, we are going to talk about the structural changes in your business that eliminate most of the problems before they ever start. All right, I want to kick off the episode talking about a scenario. Imagine you were presenting a living room design. You showed the sofa, the rug, the coffee table, the lighting, the art. It's a beautiful package and everything gets approved in the meeting. You're feeling great about the direction this is going. And then a couple of days later, an email arrives. Can we look at another sofa option? All right. Once that question opens the door, everything starts to move. Because if the sofa changes, the scale of the rug changes. And if the rug changes, the coffee table suddenly feels off. And if the lighting shifts, well, the mood of the whole room changes. And one change leads to another until the entire design is being reconsidered. The one you put your heart and your soul and your passion into and really try to make sing for your client. And a lot of you, and I hear from you, you interpret this as a personality issue. But I want to tell you right now, it's usually a process issue. Your client doesn't know what they don't know. And just like a dance, they're asking you to lead them through this. So let's talk about how we misdiagnose our clients as designers. A lot of times we assume that our clients are indecisive. We assume they're over-influenced by social media, and we assume they're too involved in the process. And I'm not saying that those don't happen, but I think we overdiagnose them because the real issue I find is usually something far simpler. And that's the client was never actually buying the room. I want you to think about this like The Price is Right. By the time you get to the showcase showdown, you're buying a trip, you're buying jet skis, who knows what else is showing up. But notice that when you are on The Price is Right, you aren't asked to diagnose or price each of those items. You buy the showcase. That's what your clients are doing. They were buying individual items, but when the design is presented that way and you offer that to them, every single item becomes negotiable. We've left The Price is Right and buying the showcase showdown to play one of the ramp up games where you have to guess the price of each item. That never goes well because the moment you present line item budgets, there's something subtle that happens that sets off an avalanche. All of a sudden, that design becomes a shopping list. Now the client begins comparing individual pieces. They start thinking like a consumer instead of trusting what you've created. They start thinking, well, if the sofa costs that much, maybe we should look for another one. And if the rug costs that much, maybe we should skip it. In fact, I had a coaching client the other day call this the pillow syndrome. They look at the cost of that pillow, the one that you put in there that ties the entire design plan together, and they go, oh my gosh, I never want to pay that much for the pillow, not knowing that that is the cohesive element to the entire product you've created. Yeah, we don't want to end up with pillow syndrome. Design is not a shopping exercise. If that's what they want to do, good gosh, please go ahead and help yourself to the latest retailer on the corner. No, design is a composition. It's beauty. You are the artisan. And as long as it's within budget and you've set out the process to outline it as such, that's what should be happening. So here's the thing. We have to look at ourselves in the mirror as designers, because when we allow the room to be broken apart, the entire design that we're creating, guess what? It becomes unstable. So let's take a moment and pause. What creates this decision stability that we're looking for? I'm going to give you 3 structural changes that dramatically reduce this issue. The first one, gathering the budget up front. My grandfather, who immigrated from Holland in 1950 and had a very thick Dutch accent, used to say, "You have to take information." Yes, you have to get information. There is no point in designing the Taj Mahal if your client is looking for an IKEA budget. And not only that, they shouldn't be your client if they are. You have to know what their budget is for their room up front. Before the design begins, you need to understand what is the financial framework that goes in that room, because it's just as important as any of the other framework you're going to be creating. And let's get real. This can't be a vague number. This has to be a concrete number. And for those of you that are people pleasers and feel like you might be stepping on their toes, you're not. You're running a business, you're managing expectations, and you're guiding them clearly to the finish line. So how do you do this? You can ask things like, what investment range feels comfortable for completing this room from start to finish? Once you know that number, your job becomes infinitely simpler because now you're designing to match that budget. And instead of presenting ideas that may or may not fit financially, you're actually structuring your entire design around a financial reality that you know from the outset. You're not guessing. When clients see a room that fits their stated budget, something magical happens. And I've seen it year after year, project after project. Decision confidence increases dramatically. Dramatically. All right, I want to talk about the second shift. This is presenting the room as a complete composition. They need to be buying the room, not evaluating the individual products, because when they see the full environment, they understand how each element is contributing to the whole. That is going to reduce the temptation for them to swap those pieces casually. So important. And this third and final shift is about managing revisions with structure. I want to be really clear here. It's not that we're saying no revisions. We're partnering with them within parameters. Every project benefits from refinement, but that refinement should happen within very clear boundaries. So a very effective approach that we allow in our contract is 1 round of revisions after the initial presentation. That puts the onus on them to go round up everything they could possibly want to change with the project. We're going to make 1 round of revisions. You're going to approve it and we're going to march on. This is really important because it allows the client to process the design. They may have some really good feedback that maybe they hadn't shared yet or that has come up since you started the project. And it allows you to calibrate and make those thoughtful adjustments that are needed to have the whole package when you get to the finish line. But I want to be really clear. After that first revision round, additional changes are going to move into a new category. In the commercial world, we call this a change order, because this is a change beyond what was originally in the contract. And these become additional revision rounds. And each round, regardless of how many revisions are in it, has a defined cost, once again, that's in the contract. It's not about your hourly rate. It's not about, oh, they just wanted to swap one thing, because as you know, that sets off an avalanche of changes. No, if they change one thing, they've entered a new round of revision and it's round 2 of revisions. And that has a flat fee cost associated with it to keep it clear and also to diminish the likelihood of them wanting to do this. Let's just harken back to when they hired you. They hired you because they thought you could do this. They wanted you to do this. Now they need to let you do this. All right, so how do we structure these revisions professionally? And we're going to dive deeper into this hourly thing, because one of the biggest mistakes designers make when it comes to revisions is billing them by hour. Hourly billing invites constant micro changes because the cost is unclear. A much cleaner system is charging this per revision round, which is why I want to dive into this. And it does a few important things. It creates total clarity for the client of how much it's going to cost if they want to change something beyond the initial revision round. It protects your time, which if you've been listening to this podcast for any moment of time, you know that that is your most valuable resource. We can create more money. We can hire more people. We can find more jobs. We cannot create more of your time. Another reason this is important is it is going to encourage thoughtful feedback rather than endless tweaking. Like, I was laying in bed last night and I thought I should change the pillow too. And then you get a text the next morning. I don't know about that artwork. There's a lot of blue in that. No, instead they have to go gather their information because now think about it like a boxing tournament. We've entered rounds. So the first round is free. It was part of the contract. We knew it needed to happen and we're a good partner. We came to the table prepared to play and for you to give us that feedback. But after we start getting into subsequent rounds, that becomes a whole new ballgame. In fact, your contract might say something like this. The design presentation includes 1 round of revisions. Additional revision rounds are available and billed per round at a flat fee. Now, this approach changes behavior immediately because they are going to start consolidating their feedback. They're going to think through their decisions more carefully. They're also going to deeply respect that you're running your business not as their best friend, but as a hired consultant, just like their attorney, just like their CPA, any other professional in their life. And the most beautiful thing that I love that happens with this is the project moves forward with far more momentum than getting bogged down in the feelings about single objects. Now, this does require a mindset shift on our part because I hear you out there and many of you hesitate to structure your process this way. You worry it might feel too restrictive, which I get because we're creative people. We don't like that, right? I want you to take a deep breath and listen to me for just a moment. The exact opposite is usually true. Back to the attorney and the CPA. Structure creates trust. Now they trust there's a process. They trust you've thought about this. They trust that you want to hear from them. They trust that you're going to keep their project on time and on budget. And clients actually relax when they understand the boundaries of a process because, as I always say, no one likes surprises after their 12th birthday. They know what to expect. They know how decisions are going to be made and they know how the project is going to move forward. The mindset shift is this. You are not just designing rooms. You are designing the process of decision making. I'm going to say that again because I think it's really important. You are not just designing rooms. You are designing the process of decision making. And when that process is clear, the project becomes dramatically smoother for both of you. And after all, isn't that what we're looking for? A smooth process with a great outcome that lands on time and on budget? Who wouldn't bring that designer back to the table for the lake house and any other property? I want to be really honest with you for a moment. I didn't get here immediately. It takes a minute to figure this out. I wish what I'm sharing with you today had been shared with me back when I started my firm. I was too busy trying to be nice instead of being kind and giving boundaries and guiding them through the process that they didn't know, which is, after all, why they hired me. So if you're sitting here today and you feel like your projects are frequently changing, your clients are changing their minds, the answer, I'm going to be really honest with you, is rarely to manage the clients more closely. You've got to dial in the structure and strength of your design processes. Get the budget up front. Design the room to match the budget. Present that room as a cohesive composition. Allow that one thoughtful round of revisions. And after that, great. You're stepping into the boxing ring because additional rounds cost money at a flat fee, clear cost, regardless of the extent of the scope. When those expectations are written directly into your contract, something really powerful happens. Clients approach the process with clarity. And that clarity is going to lead to confidence. Inside my coaching work with interior designers, this is one of the areas where we see immediate transformation. Not because the designers become more talented. You all are a very talented lot, many of you much more so than I. But because the process becomes stronger. And when the process works, your business works, which is why I am often called the process princess, because I want to see you shine. If this episode resonated with you, take a few minutes this week and look at your process. Are clients buying individual items or are they buying the room? Do your contracts clearly provide clarity around revisions and how they're handled, or do they just leave the door open for endless adjustments? Small structural changes like this can dramatically improve how your projects run. And if you want more conversations about building a design firm that protects your creativity, your time, and your expertise, you've come to the right place. Subscribe to the Success by Design podcast And I also want to see you win, which is why I offer a 15-minute free problem solving discussion with you. Head over to fixmydesignbiz.com. Again, that's fixmydesignbiz with a Z.com to explore the coaching resources available for interior designers who are ready to elevate. I want to see you elevate your process. I want to see you elevate your business. I want to see you elevate your profit. And most importantly, I want to see you build the life that you want to live. Because the most successful designers are not just designing beautiful rooms. They are designing better systems. Another reason why your business should be working for you, not you working for it. Until next time, take care.